Hello and welcome back to the Bunch of Nuts podcast. This is Dan here with Cass. It is officially March. Cass, we have held off on discussing the basketball team for as long as humanly possible this year. And honestly, I'm kind of happy we did. It's been an up and down season, some quality wins, some bad losses. And Ohio State, they had a massive win last night. They
Asleep.
You were asleep. I turned it on the game. I tried to avoid the game as much as possible. Turned it on last 5 minutes of the second half. Ended up watching the entire thing. I got to give Nebraska and Bryce Williams credit. Like Bryce Williams, great play for Nebraska. They lost. They like so many guys on their team fouled out. And Ohio State, man, I thought they were dead in overtime because Nebraska took, I think it was a 5 or 6 point lead, and I was like, there's like 2 or 3 minutes left. I'm like, I don't see it, man. I feel like we're gonna, and we had the horses, Devin Royal, Micah Parrish, Bruce Thornton, John Mobley, like they stepped up. We don't have a big man. Uh, that's a problem that I don't know how we're gonna resolve, but this team has a chance to make the NCAA tournament. And I know the fan base, it's been kind of not a miserable season, but just not an enthusiastic season, I feel like, so far.
It's hard. It really is, and they're like this Buckeye basketball team has the tools to beat anybody in the country. We see it, except for maybe Auburn. I mean, Auburn. I think Auburn's on
Yeah.
another level right now. But we beat Kentucky, we beat Texas, two SEC teams.
Beat Purdue.
We beat Purdue on the road, and I'm talking about on the road. Like these are teams on the road. Like
Beat
you
Maryland.
beat Maryland at home. I was there for that, but I was also there for the last second shot against Pitt where we lost, bad loss.
Oregon.
Oregon, which is not a bad loss. They've won
No,
six in a row
no.
right now. Um, Northwestern, bad loss.
That was a very bad loss.
Um, we're 9-10 in the Big Ten. You know, and we are discussing this off air. Historically, Ohio State should be top six, top eight historically in the Big Ten. You know, no reason to be losing to teams like Nebraska, Penn State, Washington. Um, I was actually having a bad year this year, historically.
Yeah, Iowa's surprising this year. I'm not gonna lie.
Um, but like Rutgers, Northwestern, Nebraska, USC, Penn State, Washington, Ohio State should never lose to those teams. Never, ever, and they do. Like they do, and it's it's mind boggling. And historically, if you really look at it, Ohio State should be up there with Michigan, Michigan State, Maryland, Purdue, Wisconsin, and Illinois,
Indiana, UCLA.
Indiana, and then that's the Indiana's in the same boat as Ohio State.
Right now,
Indiana, yeah, Indiana and Ohio State are two historical programs. Both have won national championships, won multiple Sweet 16s, multiple Final Fours,
yeah.
multiple Elite Eights. But why are they battling for the 10th spot in the Big Ten standings?
It
Those two programs in the Big Ten should be up there with Michigan State, Purdue, Maryland, UCLA, Wisconsin, Illinois.
I agree. I mean, this episode, I feel like, this is our yearly State of the Union Ohio State
A little
basketball.
late because of football.
A little late. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, there was a lot to talk about with football this year. Um, do you think it's fair? I mean, a lot of people are frustrated with Diebler, and I can see why. Do you think that's warranted, is my question. Do you think the frustration is warranted?
Yes and no. I think no, because this is his first real season as a head coach. But also, yes, he was on Holtman's staff. We haven't had a great big man since Jared Solinger. We haven't had a decent one since Caleb Wesson. Not everybody realize Caleb Wilson. It's been 5 years since we've had Caleb Wesson.
Yeah, 5 years since COVID.
Yeah, like this is crazy. This is 5 years ago since they did that simulation on College Hoops 2010, video game where Ohio State beat Dayton for the national championship.
Which, speaking of Dayton, prior to, I want to point, I think this state would explode if this matchup happened because from a
Yeah,
basketball standpoint, um, prior to Ohio State winning against Nebraska last night, because Ohio State was projected as one of the last four teams in. I think they're now a little off the bubble, but obviously that can change Saturday given the Indiana game. They had, since Ohio State was one of the last four teams in, they were obviously projected to play in Dayton. The team they were projected to play was Xavier. Now, if Ohio State and Xavier
meet
played
in Dayton.
in Dayton, that would be a dream matchup for the first four. I mean, you could not put a more fun matchup. And honestly, as a Ohio State fan, I have no problem watching them go like play in Dayton because we could say we made the tournament, but like I want to know if we're gonna do something. Like I'd rather have them play that early game and either get their confidence or just get us out. I can't you like I that sentiment is range true with a lot of Buckeye fans. This isn't like the Kirk Herbstreit saying on college game day that uh, remember he's like, oh, it might be better for Ohio State to have the away game and play Tennessee because the fans might be booing. No, this is different. This is college basketball. Like this would be basically a home game because it's more split because there's some Xavier fans. Like it's Dayton, like there'd be a ton of Buckeye fans, but it would just be I think a good really tune-up game for us to get the confidence, or we just get knocked out of the tournament. And this is not Ohio State football. This is different. This fan base, it's torturous sometimes watching this team. So I think that would be a nice little treat for the state if we got that matchup.
Yeah, yeah, but I don't know if they would do that. I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, but who knows? We're not on the selection committee. Obviously, we're not going to be able to see Greg Gumbel, rest in peace, do the selection show, what we're accustomed to next week. But we got a lot to do. We got a lot to do. We got a basketball game, probably the biggest game of the year this year against Indiana at Indiana. We lost at home, so we got to go into their house and we got to take it and beat them. Indiana right now they're on a one game losing streak. They were hot there for a little bit, but they're one game above us, and we win this game, we get a bye, and I think we need a bye. Um, I we're on a 2 game winning streak, but we got to get this bye. Got to beat Indiana, get that bye, and get some confidence, get healthy. I mean, we are healthy, but
I
we,
will
we
say this. I am liking Ohio State's position right now because this is like this Joe Lenardi came out with this on 3-4. So yesterday, and this was in the morning prior to Ohio State winning. Um, they had last four buys. Indiana was the last team with the last buy. Ohio State was the first of the first four teams in. And then Nebraska was right below them. So they beat Nebraska. So you would think that would propel them into the last four buys, but then the first four teams out that has Texas in there. So and we beat Texas, and obviously Nebraska's below us. So some of the contenders behind us, we have some wins over. Obviously Nebraska we split, but we have the more recent win. I don't know how that would really impact what that would impact. Um, but I mean it's really going to come down to this Indiana game. I did see Xavier, like I said, I did see Xavier Ohio State matchup. Currently, they have Ohio State versus Arkansas, 11 versus 11 in Dayton. But that's very subject to change given how the recent win and
would
everything.
they really honestly though? I mean, you could honestly see that. Would they put John Calipari versus Ohio State in a
Mm.
playing game? That's interesting to see.
I would really like that matchup against Arkansas. They have struggled this year, and traditionally Ohio State, every time they've matched up against one of Coach Cal's Kentucky teams, we have done very well against Kentucky. And even this year against
Mm-hmm.
um what's the Mark Pope's team. It's that style. We for some reason they play very well against that style of team. I don't know why. It's very odd to me, but it's for some reason we are like Cal's kryptonite.
Yeah, Spartans did end up winning the overall number 1 seed in winning the Big Ten. because Michigan just lost to Maryland 71-65. I tell you what, let's look at the Big Ten, Dan. I do think Ohio State gets in. I think even with a loss to Indiana and maybe a win or two in the Big Ten tournament, even if they win Sunday, if they win Sunday, they only need one win, and I think they're in the tournament and they're definitely a lock.
Mhm.
I see for some reason I see Ohio State depending well Indiana to like even if the loser of this game I still think gets into the tournament unless some weird team wins a conference tournament and prevents it. But I
Yeah,
honestly see
yeah.
one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine, 10. I think 10 teams get in. Um, but in my opinion, the most dangerous team, and I think that could go the furthest, is Oregon. Um, they've
Let it
won six.
rain.
They've won six in a row right now, and they're 22-8. And I think they're built for the tournament. I also think I like Michigan State. I like Maryland too. I like Michigan
I
State,
love
Maryland.
Maryland. The Crab Five, their starting five, they call them the Crab Five. It's just amazing.
Yeah. I like Michigan State. I like Oregon, and I like Maryland to make it the furthest in the tournament.
I do like Michigan. I know that pains me to say that I should be excommunicated for saying that, just because they have the 2 7-footers. I've never seen anything like that in recent memory with two 7-footers who can score like that. But their guard play is very shaky, and Roddy Gale has not been good.
Yeah, that's what hurts Michigan in my opinion. Michigan State's got the whole package. Maryland, I think, has
Michigan
the
State's
whole package.
fantastic. Yeah.
Um,
Purdue missed
Wisconsin,
Edie.
Wisconsin. I'm telling you, Wisconsin can get hot. UCLA, I know we played UCLA well, but they've got some good. That's bigs. This is what makes me mad about Ohio State. You have Michigan with two big 7-footers. You have Maryland with two big 7-footers. You have Michigan State with good guard play and some big men. We have good guard play, but no big men.
Yeah.
And that's why we're fighting for ninth and 10th in the Big Ten.
I mean, I could see Wisconsin being a threat because I feel like every time I look at Wisconsin's schedule this season, like kind of looking at it, I feel like they some of the Big Ten teams have give them fits, but when they go out and play, like they beat Arizona 103 to 88. They beat Pittsburgh soundly. They did lose to Marquette. Marquette's a good team though. They did smack Butler. I feel like they Wisconsin, they do match up well, I guess, with teams outside the Big Ten. The problem is I feel like they're such a Big Ten team. Like they're the most Big Ten team. Like they play just Big Ten basketball, but it translates well in the tournament sometimes.
Man, I'm looking at the Big 12. Houston ran away with that.
Yeah, Houston was phenomenal. Um, Kansas was a big disappointment, but they're going to make the tournament. Uh,
19-11. Oof.
yeah, it's crazy that Kansas has kind of struggled, especially with all that talent. Yeah, Houston's a threat. Auburn's great.
Duke.
Duke's very good. Um,
Louisville's good.
Louisville, yeah, Louisville's good. Uh,
North Carolina is hot right now. They got six. They've won six in a row. I can't
St.
wait for that Duke North Carolina game.
St. John's, I'm not. I'm gonna be front running for them a little bit. My
Hey,
grandpa went to St. John's.
hey,
My father-in-law went to St. John's. I
I'm
am
going to tell you
pulling for them a little bit.
that is my sleeper. Not to win the national championship, but that is my sleeper team to make it to the Final Four.
Oh, I agree. They absolutely could make it to the Final Four, and it's Rick Pitino. Like, there's certain metrics teams need to hit to like make the Final Four, and the only teams
You
that have
know what? You know what pisses me off too is
what?
watching that Alabama Tennessee game and watching Felix Okpara just come down with board after board, and he got jacked. It's like, dude, why did we let him walk out the door to get Aaron Bradshaw, who missed half the season? Felix Okpara, man, I think he would have been great with us this year.
Well, the thing about Felix, and people forgot this. His high school, dude. he's from Tennessee. He's from the Chattanooga area. So I think that had more of a an impact in him leaving too than just NIL. Um, what is DePaul's record, by the way? If we checked it on DePaul,
They're
uh,
in the Atlantic 10, right?
no, they're in the Big East, bro. Oh, they beat the Friars today, 80-77 to move to 12-18 on the season. The Friars are
2
all.
and 16 in the conference.
It's honestly better than they were last year, which is crazy.
Wait, they've lost 6 in a row? It hasn't. Okay, it hasn't updated. Google hasn't updated.
Believe it or not, DePaul is not the last in the Big East. This is kind of
Dayton
shocking.
Hall is bad.
Shaheen Holloway, man, that's so sad to see too, because he had St. Peter's really like.
Well, and a lot of people are talking about Thad Matta coming back. Yeah, 13 and 16 at Butler. Come on.
Unfortunately, yeah, Thad. I feel like I love Thad, but yeah, he it's kind of I don't know. I feel like he's kind of. By the way, um, like I feel like the game's kind of passed him by of late. By the way, though, do you know he's only 57 years old, which is crazy to me. I feel like
Yeah,
he's
but his health is like 67.
I his yeah, I thought he was like almost 70. He's not even 60. That's crazy. He was he was in his 40s when he was like having all those health problems at Ohio State. That's crazy to me, dude. That's I had no idea. When I just looked at him, I'm like, oh, he's at least in his mid 50s, early 60s. And no.
But yeah, going back to the basketball team, the Ohio State basketball team. Um, they they're 17 and 13. I love Bruce Thornton. I love John Mobley. Um, I just I I feel like is it Parrish? Sean Stewart Parrish is number 8, right? For
Yeah.
some reason, I get him and Stewart mixed up. I don't know why.
Parrish is fantastic, and he's been on. I mean, people forget he was on some very good San Diego State teams.
Does he have? Is this his last year of eligibility?
It is. He was on the San Diego State team that made the
They
champion.
lost. They beat Florida Atlantic or somebody beat him.
Yeah,
Dusty made
they
him.
made the championship game, and then he was on the team last year that lost to UConn, which is crazy. Like UConn it has been their kryptonite. He didn't. I mean, he didn't do much in the championship game. Oh, he was really bad actually. Oh, I have his no. I have his stats from the championship game. I'm not, and this isn't a slight on Micah Parrish at all. He was 0 for 5 from the field, 0 for 3 from three, 4 personal fouls, no points, and only 4 rebounds. Not a great championship game. Against UConn though, last year he did go. He had 10 points, 4 for 9 from the field, 2 for 4 from 3 point, 10 points. So he improved on that. But yeah.
Hey, are you turning in tonight's game, Washington versus USC on BTN?
Who?
Washington versus USC on BTN.
No, I'm gonna go to sleep. I'm so tired. Like I'm so tired.
Ooh, Friday night's game is kind of sneaky good. Purdue at Illinois,
Yeah. Yeah, I'm so
and then
tired.
Ohio State Saturday at 3:45 on CBS against Indiana.
Yeah, I'm so tired from staying up last night till in double overtime.
Why
And
would we need to? Okay, why is Ohio State playing on at 9 o'clock on Peacock?
that didn't make sense to me.
No, I'm glad that. Whoa, we forgot the lawmaker coming
Yes.
out.
Yes. We gotta talk about this. I love this law.
Good segue. Good segue. We were on
Great
Peacock last
segue.
night.
Great segue. But yeah. That's our state of the Ohio State hoops. We'll see what happens against Indiana. I have
They
no
have a 47% chance to win, according to ESPN on Saturday.
I feel like they're gonna get boat raced. I don't know why. But
I do too.
Lawmaker looks to ban exclusive airing of Ohio State football on streaming platforms. Now, I think they also need to apply this to basketball. Um, this is the greatest thing ever. Senator Bill DeMora, looks like Democrat Columbus, introduced Senate Bill 94 last month, which would prohibit public universities in Ohio from granting broadcasting rights to an athletic event exclusively to a streaming service. So basically, no Peacock, which thank you.
Hey, I think the NCAA, I think they should step in and do that period. So Guess what? Boston College, TCU, SMU, Notre Dame, BYU. Sorry about it. You're not owned by the state. You're not funded by the state. You're going to go on Peacock, Paramount, CW Network, whatever.
Well, and the law is it's not to just ban it on Peacock. It's just to allow like they have to put it on other services, which I think that's
Yeah,
fair.
NBC.
Yeah, it shouldn't I shouldn't have to, especially when I can't watch these days. I can't watch the Columbus Crew. For some reason, all the Blue Jackets games, I can't. I have ESPN Plus. I can watch every other hockey team in the world. I can watch the Vancouver Canucks versus the Vegas Golden Knights at 11 p.m. every night if I wanted to. I could watch the the San Jose Sharks versus the New York Islanders. No problem with any other team. Blue Jackets are blacked out. Oh, for some reason, the Crew.
What about me? I have MLB TV free subscription with my phone. My phone. I can't watch the Guardians or the Reds or the Pirates.
It's no, it's really bad in Ohio. Ohio might be the worst state with this because it's not like this in the New York, like in New York, New Jersey,
I
never had this issue.
I'm a Reds fan. I do like the Yankees a little bit, and I also like the Guardians a little bit. I watched more Yankee games last year than I did Reds
Yeah.
games because it was blacked out, and I don't pay for cable or satellite.
No, it's me. I'm a Yankee fan. I had no problem watching the Yankees because they're a New York team. They're always on. Like no problem getting the New York team. If
Yeah,
I want to watch the Guardians or the Reds, dude, it's an issue. It's
yeah.
insane.
I have to sit here and I did this for YouTube TV for football season, and you know this. We've had our tailgate. We watched YouTube TV. I
Yeah.
brought my TV, but I canceled YouTube TV when football season ended, like because every Ohio State game was on ESPN, and I used my mom's Dish Network login so I could watch all the playoff games. I got to literally pay $21 a month for the FanDuel Sports Network to watch the Cincinnati Reds. But once baseball season's over, I'm going to cancel it because one, I no disrespect to the Blue Jackets or Cavs fan, I'm not an NBA fan. I'm a college basketball fan. I watch a lot of college basketball. I mean, I'm not like hardcore into college basketball, but I'll watch it. But I'm not a hockey fan either. I mean, the only game I've watched this year was Saturday's game in the shoe. Like I thought it was cool. Like,
Which was
but
what beautiful, by the way. They did a phenomenal
other
job.
than other than all the blue jerseys in the stands, I find that I know it's Blue Jackets, but seeing blue, all
No,
that blue in the horseshoe kind of bothered me because
it did. I also had to like I had to disassociate and be like, no, it's the Blue
it's
Jacket.
hockey. It's the Blue Jacket. Yeah,
I will say though the aerial shots looked cool because it did remind me of like a blackout because
yeah,
blue it did look like almost like kind of reminded me of, like the Penn State vibe like the stadium was in when you were with 2017 like that
yeah.
kind of vibe. It looked really cool.
Because the game was on at twilight. Yeah,
Yeah.
but like, why should I have to pay for the next from April to October? Why do I have to pay $21 a month to watch the Cincinnati Reds? Doesn't make sense.
No, but anyway,
But
back to
I'm
this.
with you. I'm with this Democrat. I'm with it. Like I hope every state does it. I hope it comes to the point where all these TV networks say, "Look," and I made a joke. I know I texted you. I made a joke. I said the only teams that should play football teams that should play on Peacock are Rutgers, Maryland, Michigan, and UCLA. I was just joking, but I hope every state where every college is funded by the state should do this. I really do.
No, I agree. And also in the bill, I just want to add this. The bill would require that like the universities, they have to make a deal to basically allow enrolled students to watch the events for free, which I loved.
Yeah,
Uh, he also cited that the senator cited that it was hurting small businesses. Basically, the varsity club, he said, and other local bars, they have to pay $3,600 to
yeah.
stream it on Peacock. That's a major expense
You,
for
you
business.
ever hear Nicole? You ever hear Nicole Cox on the live Rooster shows for the podcast daily? She's the marketing director for Roosters. She said we have to pay for all them streaming services whenever the Buckeyes like because they have what each restaurant has their like the Spectrum or Dish Network.
Now, also my thing is why don't they just like stream it? Like not stream it from like Peacock, just stream it from like crack streams or Met streams. Like I would just do that as a bar owner. Like I'm gonna make the representatives from NBC and these people like you're gonna have to narc on me and like I don't care. Like it's a cost of doing business. I don't like come at me, try to sue me. I don't care. That's all. I mean, that's what I would do. I
Yeah.
really care. They can kiss my you know what. But my favorite part about this is the senator was, or this guy, he was just, it was the first time he said it was the first time in over 20 years I couldn't watch Ohio State football game on a regular channel. I refuse to pay all these streaming networks to watch Ohio State and other sports. Streaming television is not good for sports. And so basically he was like the flag guy, except this guy actually has a good idea. And it's, we also have to factor into the elderly. The elderly, like, do you know how hard it
My
is?
wife's aunt, my wife's aunt uses our Peacock.
Yeah, it's,
Just
and I recognize too. There's some people out there that don't have others. There's a very small bunch of people listening that might only have Peacock, and they're like, Peacock is great. Peacock is great. Like, I don't take it away from me. And like, this wouldn't take it away from you. This would just put it on other networks. So
yeah,
it's,
like
you're not losing Peacock. If you can keep
yeah,
Peacock,
there's like what these cable companies and network like these dish companies can do is add like an NBC plus.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
you have regular NBC and but NBC plus. Now I would be all for Peacock airing Ohio State baseball and softball games. I think that hockey games. I think
yeah,
that'd be really cool. Wrestling
yeah,
matches, like that would be really cool because you can't like if you as someone that follows Ohio State athletics like I do, you know me, I'll text you, hey, the softball team beat Georgia the other night, 11-0. That was a huge win. That was a huge upset.
yeah. And that would be adding to the product. That would be adding something that they don't have. They can get they can get students involved, like the journalism students and the communication students, and have them like intern and do so, like what Big Ten Network was kind of designed for. But I feel like Big Ten Network, they've kind of fallen short in recent years of doing that. I feel like they've kind of, I don't know, I don't see it as much.
The network I work for, Fairfield County Sports Network, prime examples of the way we run things. We don't cover Lancaster and the Pickeringtons and Canal Winchester as much as we do the other county schools because if in a perspective, okay, those schools are kind of like the Ohio States and Michigans in our county because they already get the local like the local medias like the
Yeah,
Columbus Network always does the Pickeringtons because look
yeah,
doesn't and then Lancaster like the two local Lancaster radio stations they get those radio stations. Canal is right there in the mix with Pickerington, so we do the Bloom Carrolls, the Fairfield Union. Fairfield Union's girls 27-0 right now, headed to the state championship. The only time they've ever been on Spectrum News is when they're in the Final Four right now. We've done their games all season. Like
yeah. It's about
that's
adding
what.
value. It's about adding a product that isn't there.
Yeah,
Not when Peacock poaches a game or two a year from the nat like from local viewers and says buy my product, we're basically holding this game hostage and making you buy this
yeah.
service. Yeah, it's not adding value.
Yeah.
That's just being a dick. Like that's just
Like I will sit here and tell you the traffic, like the air traffic that we get, the most air traffic we get is from the 8 county schools
Mhm.
on our network, the 8 county schools um in our area. Now I will say we Lancaster girls basketball does not get that much media coverage. They're pretty decent. I'm biased because I'm friends with the head coach. But like Pickeringtons, they get a lot of coverage. Canal Winchester get a lot of. They're in the OCC. They're in the Ohio Capital Conference. The Ohio Capital Conference is the biggest. There's 6 divisions in the Ohio Capital Conference. We get more air traffic with the mid-state league teams that we cover. The 8 mid-state league teams that we cover in Fairfield County. Yeah, there's 2 divisions, but and the amount of parents and student athletes, and you know this. You follow my Twitter
Yeah.
when I do these games. I get more feedback from those 8 county schools when I retweet games than I do the Lancasters and the Pickeringtons. That's because nobody is covering it. And that's what I wish as Ohio State athletics fan, I wish that I don't have to turn on my Ohio State app to listen to a baseball game or a softball game or a girls basketball
Or
game.
like wrestling. Like they can put like there's just, I agree, Caster. You can do so much more with Peacock and like Big Ten Network, and they're just not. And
They're not.
and unfortunately the product is not as good as it should be.
It's
It,
and not to cut you off again, even with women's basketball, Right now, the last 5 year Ohio State women's basketball has been better than the men's. Do
Yes.
they play them on 97.1, the FM channel? No, they put them on the AM 1460.
Yeah. It's I've heard them a couple times on the 97.1, but it's rare. It was
It's only in tournament
or when they're playing Caitlin
or when
Clark.
they were playing Caitlin Clark.
Yeah, it's we all like we all remember the Caitlin Clark game too. Like I was really in my car listening to it. Like I had it on TV. I had to go out running. I was listening to it on
I was
97 point.
at the game. Like,
Crazy game. Yeah, it's
I mean, I look. We've been on this show. Go back last year. We were talking about how we want Coach McGuff to come in and take over this men's team. Like we were talking about that. Like,
yeah. No, dude, it's so factual. But I mean, at the end of the day, probably I know how this is gonna go. Nothing's gonna happen. The bill's gonna get shot down. There's gonna be some lobbyists from NBC that, just pay some other people to vote the other way. Nothing's going to change. And what's going to happen is uh, three more Ohio State games are going to get split up to different streaming services. So now we're
oh,
going to have Netflix Plus and Disney Plus and all this stuff.
let's say, look at Ohio State's schedule next year. All the noon games. I know Ross Bjork is going to put a stamp on that and be like, Fox, you want to cover the games? It can't just be at noon. I'm going to sit here and tell you right there. Texas, I think Texas, as of right now, Texas will probably be big noon kickoff. I know a lot of Buckeye fans are going to be pissed about it, but Gus Johnson and Joel Klatt want that game. They're going to want that game. Fox is going to want that game. Then we got Grambling in Ohio. Okay.
That's Big Ten.
OU, and I think this is going to be cool. The Ohio University Bobcats coming into the shoe 7:30 on BTN. That is a guarantee. That's what's going to happen.
You think so? You think Grambling would? I feel like Grambling.
Oh, it's a high noon. It's a noon BTN game.
And then OU versus
Will
Ohio.
be the 7:30. I don't. It could be 3:30 CBS. Heck, we played Akron on
I think
3:30.
it could be. I think that could be the 3:30. I feel like it's so early for us to be doing this. I feel like we do this in August, where we like do the TV
Yeah,
schedule.
but I'm just like hypothetically right now because we're talking
Yeah,
about the streaming.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And if you look down the Big Ten schedule, I haven't. I There's a lot of talk right now about Illinois and Ohio State over in Champaign being a Friday night game
Ooh,
because all eyes will be on Illinois and they're going to be pretty decent.
I don't.
Last year,
I
Purdue
would
played.
not like that as a fan, like because that's going to be a tougher game. I like Ohio State's still going to win, but that's going to be a tougher game. That's definitely more of a trap game. If it's a four, if that's Friday in Champaign, I don't like that at all. And that
Yeah,
I
I
think
mean, one spring practice starts here next week
that
and stuff.
that would be Fox, I think, right?
Yeah,
Because Fox usually has the Good Friday night games, I
yeah.
believe. From
Which
what,
would be like what Brock Heward and no, it's Tim Brando and Devin Gardner.
oh yeah, yeah. Give us that. I love that duo. I mean, I know you love Tim, and
Yep.
I I really like Devin Gardner. I mean, he's a good dude. I know I really say good stuff about Michigan. He's one of the guys from Michigan that I don't mind. He's a class act, really good announcer. I have
But
respect for Devin Gardner.
but the streaming service, like going back to the streaming services, my wife's aunt and grandmother, they use our Peacock because they do watch all the Ohio State girls and men's games. I'm right there with this congressman. I think even with schools like Michigan, Penn State, Oregon, UCLA, USC, Texas, Alabama, you know, all of them schools should not ever be on streaming service.
Yeah.
And,
I
unless it's like wrestling, baseball, basketball. I mean, not basketball, but baseball, softball.
I agree, brother. But we got a minute here. That's all I really got today. Just nothing crazy. Hopefully we get some good football news or something in a week or two. But
Oh,
other than
Sam Hubbard.
that,
Great. Congratulations on a great career at Cincinnati. Um,
went out with a touchdown. Awesome.
yeah, he got hurt last year, and I think it was time.
It was. Yeah, love to see guys at least go out on their own terms. Obviously Buckeye for life, and a Bengal for life. Congratulations, Sam Hubbard, on a fantastic NFL career. I'm sure he's going to be doing something big. I'm sure he'll do something in the media. I could see him being local Cincinnati media and stuff and having a great career. That's all we got though. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of the Bunch of Nuts podcast. Buckeyes, please get it done against Indiana Saturday. That's all we ask. And go Bucks.
Go Bucks.